Alright, hey, welcome back to the Outright Garage. Hopefully you guys saw in last week's video that we completed the world's most beautiful step notch. And boy, was that a lie. That was just the first step of this whole process. Because the step notch is done, 98.643% of the way done. But now we have a transmission cross member, frame cross member. We have to do the front cross member for the suspension. We're going to pancake that. So hopefully we're going to show you a lot of really cool stuff. And hopefully you guys enjoy the ride. So thanks for coming out and watching us. Check out our plans for our new cross member. Alright, so we're going to do you a quick little sketch as to what we're talking about here. So you'll see this cross member right here. On the bottom of that cross member, it sits lower than the frame does, which means we have a problem when we go to try and lay it down. So we have to develop our own cross member. We have a 5-inch piece of metal. Yeah, this is a terrible location, but our lighting is poor here. So we have a 5-inch by 2-inch piece of rectangular tubing. We are building a C-shaped section that goes into the 6-inch channel on the frame, where we will weld and completely secure that. Then we're going to take a nice little radius. We're going to drop this down like this, and this will be gone. Then we're also going to put in some 4-inch holes for, oh, that looks terrible. This is what I'll do. I'll make it look pretty like this. Make it look symmetrical. We'll put 4-inch holes in so that our exhaust can go through it. So when it's all said and done, our panel will look like this. There you go. That allows us to have the strength across here, which inside this we're also going to put some reinforcement so that we have a super strong piece. That'll be inside, you won't see it. But that will allow us to have our drive shaft be able to articulate up. And let me show you the piece that we're going to replace and show you the problem with the one that's there. Alright, this is the cross member that we're going to be replacing. You'll see here, that location does not go straight across. This drops down here. That stops us from laying the frame on the ground. That has to be eliminated. But in addition to that, as the rear end articulates up, the drive shaft goes through here, it goes up and it hits the top. So this entire piece has to come out. So what we're effectively doing is building this cross member minus a top. We'll have double the strength and triple or quadruple the strength on the bottom to make sure that we don't have any flex in the chassis. But that allows the drive shaft to go higher up so that it doesn't hit, and it allows the bottom to be flat so that we can lay this on the ground.
Alright guys, so you saw the picture that Pete drew up for you guys on the cross member. So we're working now. First off, you got to have something to hang on there. So these are going to be the receivers. They're both 90. These actually slip inside of the frame rail because we want everything nice, pretty, petite, hidden. And remember, the bottom of the frame's got to hit the ground, so everything has to be inside the rail. This one's completed. I need to clean it up and whittle and diddle. Anyway, I'm going to finish weld this guy here and then measure how deep we want this to go into the frame rails. Alright, so there is receiver times 2. We'll let that cool down for a little bit. She's probably a little lively. I'm going to converse with Pete real quick, see how deep he wants these to go into the frame rail, and then we'll go ahead and cut these guys. Alright guys, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and go 2 inches from here. So what theoretically what that would look like is, here's the profile of the frame on the inside, right? And we could be able to kind of gradual go down to the cross member, bolt it in or whatever. I think it'd look good aesthetically. It's obviously going to be strong. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and cut this off the bottom, and then we'll set it in there. If we don't like how it looks, we can always, we can always make it narrower. Gonna go ahead and grind this down, round it up a little bit, clean it up, and now we have 2 of them. So we'll go ahead and set them in a frame and see what it looks like. Yeah.
All right, I've already been chewed out by Tommy for not having the right shirt on, but my middle son played for Dixie State University, which changed their name to Utah Tech, played basketball for them. I'm representing them today. My eldest son played for Idaho State University. I'm getting one of their t-shirts. My youngest son ran for Utah Valley University. I'm getting one of their t-shirts also. And my daughter-in-law is in PA school at Marshall University, and we were there for this past week and had a wonderful time. But anyway, enough bragging about my kids and daughter-in-law. What I'm doing right here is I've laid out the pieces we're going to cut for our cross member. Let me show you what we've done. All right, hopefully you can see in there. So we found a center line and where we're going to go. And then we took a 45-degree angle based off from the distance here that we wanted, and a 45-degree angle over here. We found our 1-inch section here that's going to be basically solid metal by the time we're finished welding everything in. And then we came off at a 22.5 degree. 1 3/8 is the overall diameter. We got these guys. We're going to drill our holes to get our nice rounded area here. We're going to cut the rest of the stuff out with a grinder with a cutting wheel on it. And we're going to cap this thing, weld all of our reinforcement in here to make it super strong. And then we're going to come over and we're going to cut some great big holes in here for our exhaust to go through. So we love using a step bit, but to start with, we're going to use this girl right here. Doesn't look right, but it is right. What are the chances of that battery going dead right as I pop through? 100%? But hopefully when we put the other one on, I'll be able to continue that. And it looks like I have it a little bit wrong. We're only going to take it to 1 1/4 inches, not 1 3/8 inches. Dead battery.
Forgot to record and blah blah blah. Anyway, so here is the relief. This is where the drive line's going to go. Here's potentially our the holes for our exhaust. But what I want to do right now is I just want to tack these guys on there. Anyway, I'm square to the bench. Right here I'm making sure that these guys are square. And that's pretty close. And all I'm going to do is just tack them. I've levitated the cross member just a little bit, 1/4 inch or so. Again, we're just going to tack them. We'll have to just do a little bit of relieving there, so we can actually get it in there. But it looks pretty good. It's going to be tight, guys. Even after cutting the corners off, we'll probably have to beat it into place, but that's kind of what you want. It is a cross member. We'll stop with doing these ends for right now. Next is we're going to start arching this stuff, the filler panel here, and we're going to make some braces inside here. So anyway, we're going to be right back. Alright, so we're back to the cross member. This is coming out. This is going to go in. So here's the thing. We need to make room for a drive line, and you can't have the top to it because it goes way up here, wee off into outer space. Okay, so we can't do these angles like we did on the rails. What we did was we put 90 and 90 and then welded them together, and it worked out well here, but we need to put interwebbing in here, and that's gonna get pretty intricate. Have it figured out, so we're gonna go and do that. This would be awesome if we could keep it this flat, but we can't. So what Pete wanted to do was he wanted to take these rounds and weld them on here, but he also wanted it curved. Now, if they're round and curved, it's like an indestructible angle, right? We're gonna have an indestructible angle here. Here, it's gonna have a gusset that goes from pretty much from here all the way across inside of here, and they're not flat, they're vertical, so that's a gusset. Anyway, so the inside of this is gonna be all interwebbing. Whoop. Plus it's going to be rounded here, whoop, but it's also going to be curved here, whoop. Lots of whoops. First off is here's the top of the relief that we cut out, and now I'm cutting this, so now I just have the top, and eventually I'm going to end up just lancing this so we can start curving it. But between that, the curves this way, and the gusset material on the inside, it's going to be really strong. Pretty weird, huh? You see how that curved? It's because when this stuff is actually made, it's hot for one, but it's also welded at the same time. So if you ever look inside a square tubing or round tubing, there's a weld seam there. Kind of weird. Anywho, let's go ahead and grab this. Getting warm. Let's go ahead and clean this up real quick. And then we'll see what we have to play with here. So these are 45 right here on the end, so I'm not worried about those because we'll end up cutting them square eventually. This is why the Pete's idea actually came out really good. See how it's shaped? Now it's like a channel, a rounded channel. So what happens is when your gusset goes inside of that, that means you can get almost a ½ inch more gusset material that would normally fit in there if you had it flat. So it's going to look beautiful, and it's going to be super strong. So anyway, we don't want to mess with this right now. We're going to go ahead and make the gusset material on the inside, and it's going to be super great. What I want to check next is to make sure that all these we can't exceed 3/8 of an inch. Because from this top profile to here is 3/8 of an inch. We have 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch across the board, which isn't too bad. I wanted it more precision than that, but again, once you get that thing all welded together, it's going to be a nightmare to grind. We're just a fudge short. It's okay. When we clamp it together, it's going to be super great. So we're going to need to take these out and start punching our holes, and we're going to plug weld them together. So this is our back one. This is number 1. No holes. This is the next one. Bink, 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 bink. Then paddle wheel those. And then drill these. Probably these. Maybe one in the center. And then these guys here again. You gotta watch the heat on the center because that's where we need the structure, and obviously heat adds fatigue, right? As long as we get the outsides really adhered and the center somewhat adhered, it should be pretty good. And remember, this is also welded to this and to the top, so it's gonna be really strong. It looks like it's overkill, but Pete was very explicit. He's like, I don't want that crossmember flexing at all. So if you put enough material in there in the right configuration, it'll make it really strong. So let's drill 9,000 holes. All of our holes are drilled. I didn't want to bore you with showing you 9,000 holes. We're welding from the bottom, and we're probably going to go in from the top. So that way it's all one piece. Anyway, what I do want to do though is make sure I get the slag off of these guys, power wheel those, and then I'm going to grind whatever surface is going to get welded to. I'm going to make sure I get a nice fresh steel. That's the theory anyway. Power tools needing power. What is that? That's dumb. Okay, so we're flush. It's beautiful. We'll weld those. Then if we need to paddle wheel, we'll paddle wheel. Next one, next one. Got 4 of them to do. Alright guys, got the last one on there. Let's go and weld it up. We'll go ahead and tack it again. Heavy tack on the sides here and here. And we'll probably let it cool down for a little bit. Then we'll go and weld the top here. And remember, we can't raise this up at all. We can't weld in here because that's just completely flush against the bottom. If this is not flush, or if there's a space, all this is for naught. It's got to be flat. This girl's extremely hot. The bench is warm. Let's just let that girl settle down for a minute. What we're going to do now is this girl. We need to flip it upside down. We need to drill our plug weld holes in the bottom here. Our span is 16 inches. So here's our center. Holes, holes, holes. Then once that's cooled down, we'll put it in there, we'll clamp it in, and we'll plug weld that. And the next is we can start working on that. Let's mark out some stuff. And again, this doesn't have to be scientific. Okay, so 16 inches. So let's go ahead and there's 8 there. Wah-cha. And 8 there. Wah-ya. Alright. We know we don't want a bunch of holes in the middle. So let's do something like let's do something right there. That looks great. And that's 2 inches. 2 inches right there. That's beautiful. Okay. Let's do 2.5. Let's go 2 7/8. It's going to be marvelous. I did not drill one in the center because I didn't want to. Okay. Let's drill these out. Let that grow cool. And yeah. Oh, look at that. Like it was made for it. So we look good here. With it clamped, it's nice and flush. That's what we want. Alright guys. So we have our plates in here. They're all welded up. We're good here. We're nice and flat. And we're centered. So let's go ahead and weld this stuff up, and then we'll flip it over, and then we'll start working on the inside. Alright, I'm going to let this cool down just a little bit before I weld the centers, but I can clean these up. Alright, so now let's go ahead and cut this angle. Fits good, guys, fits good. Cool. So now we're plug welded. It's probably cool off enough. Let's flip it back up, upside down. Let's go ahead and finish our 2 center plug welds. Then we'll start working on this guy. Yeah. Yeah, there's some other stuff I need to hit again, but let's just let it cool down for a second. So, our plug welds are good. It's all ground down. It looks beautiful. So now, I'm really happy with how this comes out. Let's start with our end caps. I want to start with the middle one because it's going to be the hardest. It's going to be some pie cuts and we'll arch it. And then I'm hoping that that's long enough to where it ends up meeting like right in here somewhere. That's my hope. This is the piece that originally had come out of here. Look at that, it fits right there. It looks like the center of that curve is somewhere right around in there. So let's do a cut here and here. And we'll do a cut here. We'll do a cut here. Let's do our first cut here. And then, what was it, 3 1/4-ish? And we'll do another one. Let's say 3 1/4. And let's do another one, 3 5/8. That should be close. That might be a little tight. Unfortunately, you don't really know until you start putting it in there. That's why it's kind of an eyeball thing. Now granted, if you open it up like that, now you'll have a space. That's okay. Space is good because we can fill it in with weld. And it should work all right. Let's go ahead and do a couple slices here. And let's see how it wants to lay in there. It'd be cool if it worked. Like I said, it might be a little tight. Remember, the more the closer your slices are together, the tighter the corner will be. Not that you wanted to know that, but there you go. So certainly getting there, but it's looking all right. Okay guys, so the top cap is wheelie dealies. So anyway, let's cut this off square and then we'll make our end caps. And then once we have everything made, we need to drill our plug holes, zoop zoop, and make sure our tolerances are good in here. And yeah, pretty cool. Now it's time to punch some holes. Okay guys, the culmination of all day. Anyway, there it is. She's ready to get welded. All our plug welds. Our verticals, they fit nice and tight in there. Got nice good gaps. I'm not going to weld up here because I'm going to have to cut this down or rework these corners. But our seam is good. We got a nice good bevel in it, both sides. It's ready to go. So anyway, let's weld something up.
Alright, so we have the basic cross member welded up. We have the indentation for the drive shaft. And now we have located our holes, and we have a 4-inch hole saw that we're going to drill through the cross member. And we have these nice, beautiful things that they cut wrong. We're going to have to make them skinnier. But that is 4-inch outside diameter. Our exhaust tubing is going to run through there. So that is going to go down here. Let me show you. So this is going to go right through there. Well, with the thickness in here, we retain our structural integrity, but we have to have the exhaust pass through here. We can't have it lower than the frame or it will smash every time he lays it on the ground. We have our initial holes. We scribed, center punched, pilot drilled, and we're going to use this girl right here. And we're going to drill us a hole so that that can slide through, and we're going to weld it up, and the exhaust can go through the cross member. Doggone it. Drill is smoking, that's why we're doing this. We're gonna check and see if we're even shooting this thing. Just look in the back. Alright, so that didn't work like we planned. Probably because I don't have a strong enough drill. But we marked it real nice. We're gonna get out the torch, cut this out with some flame.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Try to catch me howling at the moon. hope you find me. I'll be back home soon. When the sun rises, when the sun
and what I did was I just set the tube on there and just went ahead and indicated on the marker, or with the marker, like roughly where the cleanup needs to happen. Anyway. We got a small grinding wheel here. It's almost completely spent. Sometimes you want to keep them for just instances like this.
Hurry, here comes Trey. Act like you're working on it.
Oh yeah.
Where'd Testarossa go?
Right down here.
Ah. He has to get the,
holes,
he
huh?
has to get the exhaust through it.
Oh.
Everything has to go above the frame. That's what makes it laying one out.
Very nice.
So I figure you're probably going to go 2.5 inch exhaust. This is about 3 3/4, 3.5 in between, so we'll have a 1/2 inch. So they're going to have to be precise on it. But we only have a certain amount of room, right?
Yep.
It is what it is. Where's what?
Is this the Dirty Dingo one for this truck?
Yeah. Look at that, it's got exhaust running through it already. All right, she is all welded up. We're gonna let it cool off for a little while, then we're gonna get some grinding done on it. We're gonna get ready to put it in the frame. And then we have a super cool thing for you guys next week.
All right, guys. So Pete went ahead and finished welded this exhaust port. So now I'm going to go ahead and start shaping these guys, and it's going to be awesome.
Ready to put it in?
Let me grind this first. Grind this other side here.
All right, well, you can see up here we did a bunch of work. We plugged some holes. You see here a beautiful Dirty Dingo transmission cross member. You see here a 96.4% completed Rod Garage cross member. And this is for the frame itself. It's where the drive shaft has to articulate up. So then you come back here to the world's most beautiful step notch. And we got a lot done. Now this exhaust tubing that Tommy's going to show you here is the wrong diameter, but we're going to show you, we lined these two pieces up so that the exhaust will go through there without having a problem. Hopefully. Push it on through. All right, you see there? Now obviously we're just laying it down there just for fun right now. But we did that so that those two pieces lined up so our exhaust can go straight through. We'll end up setting the muffler right about here. Drive shaft goes through here, transmission, engine up front. So we have some grinding left to do here, a little bit of polishing, spit polishing, and then we're going to be ready to weld it in. We are probably going to do that tomorrow, but we won't film any of that. Next week we have something pretty cool coming out, and let me show you what that is. All right, this is a cross member out of a C10, and this is a 73 to 87, but we bolt these into 1960 to 1972 all the time. So the problem is when we're doing a truck that lays the frame down, that changes so many things. You basically have to build it from the ground up. One of the things it changes is it changes this cross member because this low point here hits the ground before the frame will hit the ground. We do a thing that's called pancaking a front end or a cross member. So basically what you do is you cut down along here, you cut 2 inches out of this entire section here, and you lower this center down 2 inches. That allows the entire suspension to move up 2 inches in the frame, which then allows the frame to lay down on the ground. It's a pain in the rear end. We haven't found any how-to videos on YouTube about it. Not that we need a how-to video, but maybe you would like to do it. So we're going to do this as next week as a how-to video on how to pancake a C10 cross member. So next week, it's gonna be super cool. We're gonna cut this girl out, knock it down, weld it all back up. Then we'll take it and have it sandblasted and we'll end up painting it. We're gonna make this ugly old piece of garbage work in the front end of this truck so we can lay it on the ground. All right, you guys made it through another video. We sure appreciate you guys doing that. Make sure you stay around towards the end after our little Odd Rod Garage exodus. Sometimes we have little comments and statements in there. Anyway, we got a ton done this week. You know, the time it takes to fabricate something like this is so much more time than what anyone thinks. But we had to do this so that we can make the truck do what it wants to do. So our cross member's taken care of. We got a little bit of grinding left to do. We'll get that taken care of tomorrow or the next day. We're going to get this girl welded in. We have our transmission cross member. Next week we're going to be doing the pancaking on the C10 cross member. But we've done a lot of work this week. We've made a lot of progress. We're getting closer to getting this down on the ground. It's probably going to be about 2 weeks before it makes a rolling chassis again. But that's all right. Anyway, we appreciate you guys coming out and checking out the silly things we do. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. Share the link. Leave a comment. YouTube loves it when you guys leave comments. So make sure you leave a comment. Good or bad, either one is perfectly fine with us. But we thank you guys for coming out. And as always, thanks for watching. So I said just a minute ago to make sure you stay afterwards because sometimes we have little tidbits. We have nothing for you.